thermal doesn't work too well whenever it's snowing or high humidity and raining, of course. It has to be like clear skies for this thing to work good. But I really like the Pulsar Axion 2. Works pretty good. And from what I hear, all the Pulsar devices are really good. So I highly recommend it, guys. I think you guys would really like it. It's really pricey, but it works a lot better than the cheaper stuff. And I think if you buy something cheap, that's exactly what you get. So hey everyone, and welcome to Sasquatch Theory. It was a good hike to get down in here, and last night it snowed a little bit, so I'm pretty excited about that. On the way in here, I spooked a couple deer. They're actually bedded in this area, and they took off up that hill, going up into the cedars where the big bucks usually bed at. But the members will know this just because I used to have a membership, and again, I'm thinking about starting it back up. But back in September, I found a dead buck next to the house, and the way I noticed that deer was there was a lot of turkey vultures flying around in the sky, and when the wind would blow towards the house, it just smelled horrible. So I decided to check it out, and yeah, there was a dead deer there. I couldn't figure out if someone poached it, if it died naturally, or if it died due to CWD, EHD, the chronic waste disease that's taken out a lot of deer in the area. But I went back to check it not too long ago, and there was another buck about 20 yards away from that one, and it's pretty close to the creek bottom, so I'm thinking it is a disease that they got. And basically when they get that disease, they kind of go a little stir crazy, and they have to stay near water. They keep drinking water to make themselves feel better. But I thought that was unusual because the new buck that I found recently, there were no other bones. It was just the skull next to that dead deer. Well, yesterday I was hiking around the area, and I went up into these cedars across the creek where the big bucks usually bed at, and I got into a little thicket, and there was a 9-pointer laying there. So I thought that was unusual, and there's definitely something strange going on. I don't think it's Sasquatch, but I think the disease is hitting here where I'm at, because whenever I hunted, I didn't see too many deer, and I had trail cameras up all year round, and there just wasn't too much activity. And my family went hunting as well, and they didn't see too much. I didn't see too much, and I thought that was weird. I kept checking the trail cameras throughout the season to help me identify what was in the area, and there just wasn't too much. But I'm thinking about calling conservation, letting them know what's going on, but I don't know what they're going to be able to do. The disease is out there and it's spreading, guys, so be aware that a lot of the animals are dying off, which is pretty strange to me, and there never seems to be a solid answer as to what's going on. So hopefully people figure out a solution and get this taken care of. But yeah, I'll get a hold of conservation and see what they say. But yeah, today, guys, we're going to read some more Bigfoot emails, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy them. So let's get right into them. This first Bigfoot email was submitted in by Linda Moser. Hi there. I'm going to tell you about a sighting my daughter and I had a while back. It happened around 2 a.m. after we came off of Star Mountain in Cherokee National Forest in eastern Tennessee. We were heading down after an evening in the forest, and were driving in the country right at the foot of Star Mountain. As we rounded a curve, both my daughter and I saw eyeshine off the side of the road. It froze in place. Just seconds as we passed, we could see its outline. The fur was gray as moonlight shone somewhat on it. It was standing in a tree line. Shoulders were huge, and it had a round head. My daughter and I were in shock. We have never seen nothing like this before. We passed it and immediately turned around. All right, my camera's getting soaked, and so is my phone. I don't know if you guys can see that, but yeah, everything's getting soaked. All right, they immediately turned around. Of course, it was gone in those few seconds. I leaned out the car window with my headlamp. Imagine my surprise when I learned there wasn't much of a shoulder to the road along that stretch. It was about a 6-foot drop all up and down the road. That meant whatever stood there was much taller because we seen its upper body portion. We returned the next day in daylight to see if there were any signs of it. There weren't, and there wasn't. There was a swampy area right there in the area and an abandoned barn. Its eyes did shine yellow, so we know it wasn't human, since humans' eyes do not reflect in beams of headlights. It was not a bear. We have bears in Tennessee, but they are black. This wasn't a bear standing on two legs. I tried to think of any animal that big we could have seen, but nothing fits the description. We figured it was a Bigfoot, but the color was gray, not brown. Some people have said it was a dog man, whatever that's supposed to be. I have doubts about a dog man. My daughter and I researched Bigfoot and hunted for it for the past 6 years here in Cherokee National Forest. I have never seen one until that night, and it caught us off guard. However, one night around 3 a.m., while we were parked and just talking, preparing to head home for the night, I swear on a Bible, right there behind the tree line, not 30 feet from us, something sounded off. 2 soft but noticeable whoops. At first, it scared us, and then we grabbed up the night vision and the parabolic dish. First off, let me tell you, we had been parked off the road into the trees by a creek. We had been there for around 4 hours or so. It was in November and it was cold. No cars ever went by on the road behind us. Of course, there's never any traffic much up there anyway, so no one knew we were up there. Whatever it was, it either had to be there all that time watching us or there when we parked. Although I never picked up any movement on the dish, we did hear it. I did hear something on gravel or rocks about 2 hours earlier. Those whoops were definitely whoops, loud and clear, but they were not forceful. It was as if it were either scared or trying not to scare us. No, it wasn't any owl or any animal in the forest. It whooped. We sat there another hour using the dish and night vision, and nothing. No movement, no more whoops, nothing. Was it still there or not? We ended up leaving, but we did return the next day to look around. We found, to our dismay, that the ground sloped right there in that area down to the creek. We were sitting above it the night before. The trees hid that fact from us. When my daughter used the night vision, we looked straight across, not down. No wonder nothing was seen. We never seen any tracks either around the creek. There was a bed of pine needles everywhere, so if there were anything walking, we wouldn't have seen it. You know, I listened to every animal sound and I Googled every possible animal that it could have been that night. There's nothing to match it. Maybe a monkey, but we haven't seen monkeys in our forest. And it was a freezing winter. What could it eat? Maybe an escaped monkey, possibly, I guess. I live in a town of 3,500 residents at the foot of Star Mountain. No mention anywhere of a lost pet, but I guess it's possible. By the way, the whoops were of something bigger than a small monkey too. Listening to the gibbon monkeys, I think that is what it was. They do whoops as well, but it's much higher and not as plain. These whoops were right there and we heard them plainly. Of course, we always still go there today. Never have heard it again though. We go to the mountain at night often these past 6 years. That one night was the only sighting we have ever had. We know there's something in our forest here in the U.S. There may be only 1 or 2, but there's something. We are believers. Most believers have had an experience or they know someone who has. I swear these stories are true. Not trying to get attention. I'm not trying to get attention. I am just looking for others with the same experiences. I hate hoaxes, and thank you for listening. I am a subscriber too. Have a great day. Sincerely, Linda Moser. All right, thank you so much, Linda, for sharing your experience with me here on Sasquatch Theory, and that really means a lot. I've actually had a lot of reports from Tennessee where people were driving and seeing a giant hominid figure standing off the side of the road or across in front of them or off in some fields. But yeah, it seems to be a pretty typical description in Tennessee and in many other areas around North America. So I do believe you. And the Sasquatch come in very many different colors as far as gray, red, black, brown, and sometimes a mixture of every color. So the best way to think of it is like possums. Possums come out in different variations, and same with cats. Cats have a litter and they come out different colors. So it's just all about genetics, and no two Sasquatch are exactly identical, but in some cases they are, guys. So there's no answer for what people are seeing. A lot of people say, oh, it didn't look like Patty, so that's not a Sasquatch. But the truth is, some of them look extremely human, some of them look like cave people, some of them look like trolls, some of them look like gorillas, and the list goes on, guys. But yeah, I've heard the whoops as well, and it's pretty freaky. Yeah, the ones I heard from the juveniles are not too loud. It's just like a whoop. And it's pretty cool to hear, because you can tell it's not very high off the ground. And I think it's the juveniles that whoop back and forth a lot of the times. And the adults, they use different vocalizations, such as like the Ohio man call, grunting, screaming, and they're a completely different animal when they grow up. When they're little, they're actually pretty cool. They're friendly, and they want to interact with people. But the older ones, they seem to develop a different personality when they mature, and they seem to want to stay away from people. But that's just like us. Our kids don't know any better, and they'll get into trouble sometimes. And it's the adults that have to line them out and set them straight. All right, guys, moving on to our next Bigfoot email. This one was submitted in by Bill Wisely, and it's in the Big Piney here in Missouri. First off, I would like to say thank you for all the work you put in with all the time and travel you do researching Bigfoot. My name is Bill. You are welcome to share my story if you would like. In 2022, my girlfriend and I spent all year camping in several different conservation areas in Missouri, waiting on our apartment. Never staying in one camping area for more than 14 days at a time, because the state of Missouri and federal laws. We would spend 14 days on the Big Piney River, and then 14 days on the Current River, and then the Black River, and the Big River, and start over again. We have a dog that's half German Shepherd and half Bull Mastiff. He was just a little puppy at this time. We were on the Big Piney River, and I seen something I've never seen before in my life. Mother Nature, and a primal instinct from my puppy that I've never seen before. It was getting evening, about a half hour before dark. All of a sudden, our puppy was scared to death. Our puppy was so small at this time that he could barely jump up on the floorboard of the truck. He ran to the truck and did all he could to get in the truck, and he got under the seat, just shaking, scared. I thought, what is wrong with him? Turns out that the puppy had a primitive code in his DNA that had to be passed on, even after hundreds of years. Something so deep. It made me really think about there's more to nature than we could ever understand. Turns out that there were hogs in the area. I mean, really mean hogs. And they were determined to kill our puppy. I witnessed these hogs somehow communicated with each other. They surrounded us, and they took turns charging. This got really dangerous. But I had my Pew Pew AR-12 locked and loaded. We knew something was coming because our puppy would throw up everything in his stomach and just play dead and basically just go limp. And actually, he looked dead. We would have to get him in the cab of the truck, and he would wake up and then hide under the seat and just shake. He was so scared. On one evening, our dog went down and acted dead. He threw up, and I mean, he threw up a lot. So we knew, here we go again. We seen several hogs that were well over 500 pounds, and their piglets were also huge as well. And they had ginormous tusks. It felt like they were teaching the piglets to kill dogs. On this evening, we were surrounded by hogs, but our puppy was safe in the cab, and we were on top of the camper that was in the bed of the truck. That's when we heard the loudest high-pitched scream that actually almost hurt our ears. Then the scream went from high-pitched to the deepest growl that I have ever heard in my life. The growl got so deep that our truck vibrated. I've never felt anything like that before. They sounded like something coming from a hominid's mouth. And when that happened, the hogs took off. There was a smell that was so bad I could only describe it as rotting meat, poop, and urine. I almost threw up. Every time we camped there, the hogs would come to try to kill our puppy. Then, although I never seen him, Bigfoot would come off and scare the pigs off, and would try to scare us off by loud screams, growls, and throwing rocks. Now, there was something else going on at the same time, and this really made me mad because several times it really got scary between the hogs and Bigfoot. There were drones in the area. Lots of drones watching, knowing the situation we were in, and they offered no help at all. At least I think they were drones. They would fly up and down the hill of the Big Piney River until, how should I say this? The action started at our camp. And that, my friend, in my opinion, is foul. I will tell you where this is, but I ask you if you would not tell anyone. A few people camp here, and those who do, they are only there a day or two. Chances of someone having an encounter there are slim, because it usually took about 4 nights or so before this would start. If you take highway west of Licking towards Missouri, you will cross the Big Piney River. After crossing that river, you will start climbing a hill. At the top of the hill on the left, there's a gravel road on the left called, I'm not going to say it. Make the left at the bottom of the hill just before the creek that crosses, I'm not going to say it. There will be a road to the left that will take you down to the river. Unless you have 4-wheel drive, you will have to park there. You will see a clearing to the left if you're facing the river. That's where all this happened. After becoming friends with a few locals, they told my girlfriend and I that they knew about the wild pigs and Bigfoot. They've been there for years. They just don't share this information. They don't want tons of people there bothering Bigfoot. They know they are there and let them be. Bigfoot controls the population of wild hogs. They are easy prey, I was told. I was told that Bigfoot would snatch up a hog, smack the hogs up against a tree like it was nothing, then throw the hog over its shoulder and go off and eat it. I never really believed in Bigfoot until now. I don't care if anyone believes me or not. I know what I've seen and heard. Bigfoot is real. I told family and friends this story. Some believe me and some don't. But all the people I tell want me to tell them where this took place, and I won't tell them. You are the only person that I've told this location. Please keep this a secret. Bigfoot has the right to be left alone. Thank you for your time. Please go camp there for a week or so if you can. If you can, get a blanket with the smell of puppies on it. You will not be disappointed. The puppy smell will bring in the hogs, which will bring in the Bigfoot. Good luck, and thank you for all that you do. All right, Bill, thank you very much for sharing your Bigfoot experience that you had in the Mark Twain National Forest. And I'm assuming this was a conservation area, but a lot of that area is surrounded by the Mark Twain Forest. And yeah, that's pretty freaky, man. I've heard the same from my friends, that they would have to camp for like 3 or 4 nights until something actually happens. And the fact that your dog was able to pick up on it is not surprising. Seems like animals have an instinct that's encoded into their DNA, and they're able to pick up on this activity before we are. But yeah, the Sasquatch like to eat hogs, and it's pretty interesting how you mentioned that the hogs were communicating with one another, and I found it unusual that they were trying to kill your dog. I wonder why. I guess they're used to dogs harming their little ones, and possibly they don't like them, but that was pretty brave of them to come up to camp like that and charge. I suspect the Sasquatch were trying to scare off the hogs for you guys, and that's cool that they were trying to help you guys out. A lot of times we hear these scary stories from the Sasquatch, but sometimes they're out there to help people, and a lot of people give them a bad name, bad reputation, but that's because there's bad Sasquatch out there. People have had terrifying encounters with them, but yeah, in some cases they will help you out. So I will do my best to get out to that area that you mentioned, and I have the directions written down. I'd like to get in communication with you so I can hear more about this encounter, possibly interview you, and hopefully go out there for about 3 to 5 days, and maybe we can see what happens. I don't know if you have time to do that, but if you don't, that's okay. I can possibly get a crew together. We can go out there and camp. It's just hard to get other people lined up with my schedule, but I think it'd be cool nonetheless to go out there, read your encounter, see what happens, and definitely I'm gonna go out there armed just because I don't wanna run into some hogs that are gonna cause me trouble. I'll try to get a cover and wipe it all over my dog, get the scent on him, and we can see what happens. But yeah, guys, my camera is getting soaked. I hope it's not gonna damage it. So I'm trying to finish these emails as quick as I can. And yeah, I appreciate everybody for listening and the people that support these stories, the channel, and people who've had experiences. All right, this next Bigfoot email was sent in by William. Miguel, I really enjoy your channel. I am from southern Iowa, but I have spent a lot of time canoeing on the Current River and the Merrimack River. I have always believed in Bigfoot, but have had no encounters there yet. We have always been on the river during daytime hours. The only possible encounter that I have had was in Lacey State Park in Keosauqua, Iowa. And that is spelled Keosauqua, Iowa. This park is along the Des Moines River. My wife and I were tent camping there, and we were sitting around the fire at night listening to music at a low volume. I kept hearing what I thought was heavy breathing behind us. Behind us was the woodline and also a perimeter trail around the park. I didn't say anything, but after a while my wife said, "Do you hear that?" I said, "What?" And then I heard it again, and I said, "You mean that?" She said, "Yes." I said, "It sounds like something big breathing." I turned down the JBL speaker with my cell phone, and the breathing then stopped. I am a deer hunter and have heard a lot of deer noises, but this was no deer. Also, a deer would not try to come near a campsite. Earlier that day, when we were exploring the park, I told her that this place really looks squatchy, just joking around. I am open to the existence of these creatures and wonder if that has any effect on them making their existence known to people. Anyway, keep up the good work and sorry for your troubles with YouTube. Attached is a Google Earth pin where this happened. Thanks. All right, William, thank you so much for sharing that experience with us. And yeah, it sounds like it could have been Bigfoot. The area on the Google Earth that you shared with me looks like a really squatchy area. There's a lot of forest, big lake, and that's the perfect recipe for Sasquatch. But let me share this with you. Whenever I encountered the jet black Sasquatch with the white stripes, and whenever he walked off in the woods, I chased after him. I went through the yard and back into the woods because I knew the direction he was going, and I was trying to cut it off to make sure that that's actually what I seen. I mean, I know what I saw, but my mind could not believe it. And yeah, whenever I cut that creature off, I couldn't see him in the woods, but all I heard was it sounded like a big caveman that was upset. And yeah, I think that's what you guys encountered that night. And it was probably upset that you guys were in its spot. But I mean, there's plenty of other deer out there. I just think it was territorial and it was letting you guys know that it was in the area. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing the location, sharing your experience. And I hope you guys get out there again to see if you experience anything else. Thank you. All right, this next encounter is from Sean Smith in Hannibal, Missouri. The area I would say is city, but in a wooded area along the Missouri River. You could use my story if you would like, but I think I'll pass on the Zoom thing because of ridicule I'd probably get from my family if they found out. Maybe someday if you guys are down there doing like a day hike on your property, since you said you have them there too, I'd like to come and visit and talk. Well, yeah, I don't want to bring anyone down here, but I'd be willing to go up there if you want to share your experience where all this happened. I've never been down that way in Missouri before. I also know basically nothing about hunting, guns, or the woods in general, I might add. Or if you're out this way for a day, I'd show you the spot and walk it with you. Lodge you for free for the night if you need. I am a former criminal investigator for Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services and am currently brand new. I've been to work for 2 days so far, Public Health Administrator of Madison County, Iowa. Until August 2021, we lived in Marble Hill, Missouri, and traveled frequently to Trullo, Iowa, where we live now. Initially, we would take Highway 36 from Cameron to Highway W, just east of Monroe City, about 30 or 40 minutes before Hannibal. Then Highway A towards New London, which bypassed Hannibal. Highway A was a highway that creeped us out. There was something about it that always had us on the edge, and there was just something wrong. When my future wife would drive it herself, I always worried and would keep her on the phone the whole time she was on the Highway A and W. Eventually, we stopped taking this shortcut and started taking 36 to Hannibal, then turning south towards St. Louis. Of course, in your video, it was on Highway 36 that the sighting occurred. This comes to the unreasonable fear that so many people talk about. Even people who encounter the known apex predator, the polar bear, don't report deep internal depths of hell kind of fear that people experience when encountering a Sasquatch. Some don't elicit this fear, but many witnesses do report this. Sorry guys, the spelling's a little off. More recently in Iowa, we moved with my parents to help them get some things taken care of on their place, as they are both nearly 80 years old. My wife smokes in the garage, often with at least one, sometimes both big doors open. Since we moved here in August 2021, she has come in several times to tell me of the sound of large footfalls she hears outside. And on one occasion, a large figure blocked out the lights from our nearby little town. Although she was unable to see the figure clearly, she just knew that something moved between her and the lights from town that had to be very tall. On one occasion, I was sitting in our room and heard a loud growl next to me, but on the outside of the house. So just on the other side of the wall from me, a very familiar with large animals, having worked with cattle, horses as a kid. This thing sounded like it had a huge throat, as if from a huge animal. Anyway, less than a minute later, my wife runs in, all wild-eyed, and told me that she had heard a growl from the side of the garage while she was smoking. Same side of the house where our room is. No sign or no tracks that we could determine. Then a few days later, there was a loud bang on the corner of the house. It reminded me of tree knocks, except on the house instead of a tree. So the weirdness of this, not that it isn't weird enough by itself, is that there are no bears here, no large animals near the house, and no wooded areas closer than a couple of miles away. So whatever it was would have to cross a lot of open ground to get to the house. These things did happen at night. My wife and I experienced many strange things in southern Missouri, not necessarily related to Sasquatch. Have had some experiences with other things. I have had some experiences with other things. The being called Dogman and some other things. I love Missouri and someday hope to return there to live again. We still have family in Cape Girardeau, although I have lived and worked in West Plains and covered various counties for work in that area. Feel free to contact me if you want. I'm sure you have a lot of people contacting you with various things they have experienced, but if you want to hear more about some of the things we have experienced, I would be happy to share. Sean Smith. All right, Sean, thank you very much for sharing your Bigfoot experiences or paranormal experiences. And I personally think that it's all connected to one another, but many people will disagree and say that it's a flesh and blood animal. But people have to understand that just because it's something paranormal doesn't mean it's not flesh and blood, which is kind of hard to wrap your mind around. Guys, when you're writing in your Bigfoot email, just make sure to read it over again and make sure to use proper punctuation. Like, don't say, went to store, had fun. Explain it. I went to the store and had a lot of fun. Because when you do that, it doesn't sound very professional. It puts more work on my shoulders. And it's a short story, guys. You should be able to do that on your own. And I don't mind correcting things here and there, but if the entire story is like that, it's going to sound the way it did. But yeah, I've had the Sasquatch come up to the house and slap it several times, and it just sounds like a giant owl crashed into the house. But I think that's whatever this is letting us know that they're watching. And it's pretty creepy to know that something's watching you, whether in the forest or in your home. And yeah, guys, just be aware that things are coming into your home late at night, whether it's paranormal beings, aliens, and sometimes Sasquatch come up to the edge of the house to cause havoc. But yeah, Sean, I really appreciate your encounter, your experiences, and I think we have talked before in the past, so thank you so much, and no hard feelings on the spelling. I just had to get that out there for future people who want to submit their story. But yeah, guys, everything's getting soaked. My camera is just drenched. It was really hard to read off my phone because water droplets were falling on it and it would close out of the app. So it is what it is. I'm glad I got it done, and sorry that was really rough, guys. But yeah, my plans for the future. I want to get out there and camp, guys, whether it's here in this area, down at the current river, or possibly in Licking, where Bill said he had his experiences. And Bill, I'm sorry if I gave out too much just by saying the town, but that's a large area. No one's going to know exactly where this happened at, so I think you'll be all right. I think people will be able to pick out what conservation area you're talking about, but let them go there. Let them go there. I think they'll be freaked out if they do stay there. And I'm reading stories all the time from different conservation areas, so people are not going to be able to just drop whatever they're doing in their life to just run to these conservation areas and look for Bigfoot. And I'm not seeing that. Even in the current river where I go all the time, there's just nobody out there. And honestly, a lot of people don't believe. The people that do believe just don't have the time to get out there, and it probably terrifies them. So I doubt anybody's going to go to that area and get attacked by hogs and Bigfoot. But yeah, I appreciate everyone for watching and the time that you guys spend listening to these Bigfoot encounters. But until the next one, guys, take care, be safe, and keep watching Sasquatch Theory.